Have you ever noticed something a little different about people who grew up in the 1990s? It's hard to explain at first. It's not about age. It's not even about nostalgia. It's more about how they are. They don't seem as rushed. They're not constantly proving something. They don't look lost either. They just feel settled, like they're standing with both feet on the ground, even while the world keeps speeding up around them. And the more you think about it, the more it starts to make sense. People who grew up in the 90s lived through a very specific moment in history, a narrow window that doesn't really exist anymore. They experienced childhood before everything was tracked, stored, and shared, before every moment had an audience, before life became something you documented instead of lived. At the same time, they were young enough to adapt when the digital world arrived, not fight it, not fear it, just learn it. They didn't miss the internet. They didn't drown in it either. They became the bridge generation, and psychologically, that position changes you. Think about what childhood actually felt like back then. Life happened offline. You went outside without anyone knowing where you were every second. Saturday morning cartoons came on at one exact time. No pause, no rewind, no "I'll watch it later." If you missed it, you missed it. That was the rule, and that rule mattered more than we realize, because it trained the brain to show up. When something was happening, you paid attention. You weren't half there. You weren't checking something else. The moment wasn't repeatable, so you stayed with it. Presence wasn't a mindfulness practice. It was just normal. Their childhood was completely analog. But then, slowly, things changed. Their teenage years went digital. They remember the sound of dial-up internet. They remember choosing between using the phone or going online. They remember planning meetups instead of live sharing locations. If someone didn't show up, you just waited. And boredom was real. You couldn't scroll your way out of it. You had to sit with it, solve it, turn it into something, draw, play, wander, think, make things up. That boredom quietly built imagination. And that's where their relationship with technology became different. They don't see tech as life itself. They see it as something layered on top of life, useful, powerful, but optional. Something you step into and step out of, not something you live inside all day. Psychologically, a lot of 90s kids also developed a very natural sense of delayed gratification, not because someone taught them a lesson about patience, but because the world forced it. You waited weeks for a movie to come to the video store. You saved money for months to buy one CD. You listened to the same album again and again because that's all you had. And strangely, that waiting made things feel meaningful. Anticipation wasn't frustrating. It was part of the experience. That mindset didn't disappear as they grew older. You can still see it in how many of them approach life. They don't expect everything instantly. They're more okay with process, with slow progress, with building something over time. But here's the part that really shaped them. They can appreciate simplicity and convenience. They're fine with silence, but fluent in digital conversation. They value real connection, but understand online relationships. They don't romanticize the past. They don't worship the future either. They just sit somewhere in between. This generation also learned resilience through small, everyday problems that don't really exist anymore. Recording songs off the radio and hoping the DJ wouldn't talk. Getting lost and figuring it out with a map. Solving arguments without Google proving who was right. Nothing dramatic, nothing traumatic, just friction. But that friction trains something important: resourcefulness, the ability to figure things out without immediate answers. The confidence that you'll manage even if you don't know how yet. And maybe that's why interacting with someone from the 90s feels different. They're present without being disconnected, comfortable with tech without being consumed by it. They remember when life moved slower, and they carried that internal pace forward, even as everything outside accelerated. The easiest way to understand them is this: they're like someone who speaks two languages fluently, but thinks in their first one. They navigate the digital world easily, but their instincts were formed before it existed. They're translators between the analog and digital worlds, holding memories from a time before the internet, while moving through modern life without friction. Not louder, not faster, just steady. And in a world obsessed with speed, that steadiness quietly becomes their advantage. So I'm curious, if you grew up in the 90s, do you feel this difference too? Or if you didn't, do people from that time feel different to you? Let me know in the comments. I read them.